So I saw an opportunity to make a difference. I first heard about the Canadian Infrastructure Challenge from a family member who was working with one of the partner organizations. CanInfra was a national search for innovative infrastructure ideas that could change aspects of how our country functions. I reached out to Dave, who was a municipal councillor here in St. John's, who introduced me to Brett, and before I knew it, the three of us were sitting around, having a pint, and chatting about the challenges that our country faced that we'd like to see solved.
The CanInfra Challenge was about coming up with something that would be transformational for our country if built. And so when we were sitting there looking at this, we were trying to think, what in Canada could we do to make an impact on climate change that also benefits people? Now, Canada has a lot of very rural communities, and these rural communities are not connected to the national energy grid. And so as a result, they have to burn diesel to make their electricity. Diesel pollutes a lot, and it emits a lot of greenhouse gas emissions, and it's super expensive as well and unreliable. So what we saw was an opportunity to bring an idea to a national stage that the average Canadian that lives down south might not think about, but that would make a meaningful difference in people's lives and also help fight climate change.
In terms of process, one of the nice things about the CanInfra Challenge was that they were asking for ideas from anywhere in Canada, from anyone who has those ideas. And we felt we were unique in the fact that we all came from different professional backgrounds. I'm a municipal councillor in IT, Brett's a scientist, and Brandon was in the real estate world. But also our place is on the far east of Canada, a small city, St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, that gets exposed to rural communities and the challenges that they have. And also, we see the effects of climate change pretty directly. We're famous for having icebergs pass by us every summer, and they're coming faster and more abundantly each year. So to be in this place, but also have access digitally to the rest of the competition was a great benefit to us.
Once we refined our idea and got to work on ensuring that we were solving the challenges we were set out to solve, the Infrastructure Challenge was incredibly supportive. They provided us access to industry experts and to folks who had worked on these sorts of problems, which allowed us to delve deeper into what was a high-level concept and make it a really refined presentation. We ultimately transitioned from being a top 20 team to being a top 10 team, and ultimately pitching live in Toronto, Ontario, where we had a chance to be judged by a live panel.
Our pitch, which we called IceGrid, was to look at the power system of the capital of one of our northern territories, which was entirely diesel, and replace it with renewable energy, so wind backed by utility-scale batteries. So when the wind is blowing, it stores the power in batteries, and when the wind is not blowing, they use the batteries for their power. What we found during this pitch, we ran the numbers and we looked at how much it would cost to build and operate one of these systems over a 20-year period, and found that it was much cheaper than staying on the diesel that they're using now. And all the technology existed today. It just needed to be put into a package. And so what we found was by doing this, not only are you protecting the environment, you're creating more reliable power for the people of this territory, and you're also saving money and greenhouse gases and pollution as well. So this was a win-win. And so we did this pitch with the view to protecting the environment, but also to benefiting people.
Making it to the final event was a thrill in itself. We got to travel from St. John's, our small city, to Toronto, the big city, and there were just so many other teams in the room that it was inspiring in and of itself. To see those ideas, from smart highways to blimps transporting across the country, was cool. But then we got to pitch. We were in the top 10, so we spent a full day pitching there and made it to the top 3. So the next day was the top 3 competition, pitched again with the other 2 teams, and we won. And that experience will be something I'll remember forever.
The impact of the CanInfra Challenge on us was exceptional. It didn't take long for us to be receiving phone calls and inquiries from people across the country about our idea. We were featured in magazine articles, newspaper articles, local newscasts, and perhaps most significant, we flew back to Toronto to meet with the Canada Infrastructure Bank, a $35 billion national fund that invests in major infrastructure projects in our country. 1 full year later, the government, who was involved with the infrastructure conference at the time of our pitch, was re-elected, and in their platform was notes about renewable energy and off-grid communities and a commitment to invest in that. Whether or not we were directly involved with that decision is hard to say, but I certainly think we might have moved the needle, and that felt really, really good. The CanInfra Challenge had a national scope, but But now the Global Infrastructure Hub is presenting the opportunity for anyone on the planet to present an infrastructure idea that will be transformative.
Now, our idea brought us together as a team, so if you have an idea, this is an amazing opportunity to take it to the next level.
We had an impact on our country, and we challenge you to have an impact on the world.